Today we're covering third-person co-op PvPvE dinosaur shooter Exoprimal. But before we get into it, if you guys haven't done so already, please make sure to like and subscribe to the content if you guys enjoy it. So what is Exoprimal? Exoprimal is developed by Capcom and it sets place in the year 2040. A rogue AI continuously pulls pilots from various timelines to take part in its deranged war games where they must battle both dinosaurs and each other. The story of Exoprimal is completely integrated within the multiplayer, so to progress through the story, you have to play multiplayer maps. Once you play a certain amount of multiplayer matches, a cutscene will play. I believe it's around 5 matches, a cutscene will play, and then you'll also get more intel that you can unlock and read and listen to in your analysis map. And as you play, you unlock more missions, you unlock more game modes, more maps, obviously more in-game cutscenes. And each time this happens, you're going to get new dinosaurs, new game modes, and all kinds of things until once you get to the end of the campaign, you're going to have this one big final boss where you have this 10-player mode where everybody all works together and it's just solely PvE. So it's one of those games where it kind of intertwines multiplayer with story-driven narrative. This is a hero shooter, so you have multiple characters you can choose from, and each one has their own unique abilities and weapons. So I want to talk about some of the pros that I found into this game. So we're going to kind of divide this up into pros and cons. So we'll start with pros. So I think it's a different approach to the PvE like genre. I think it's a little different. The closest thing I can compare it to is Gambit blended with Strikes in Destiny 2. And because of this, it makes the game feel more PvE focused than PvP up until you get towards the end of the game. So I would say 75% of the match is PvE, maybe more, maybe 80%, where it's just solely you and your teammates trying to go through these hordes of dinosaurs as you work your way through the map. And then the last 25% is when they make you meet with the other team that's also on the other side of the map and compete against each other and try to complete that last mission. So for example, there's escort in this game. So you basically work your way trying to race to escort your objective all the way to the end. But then right before the end, you meet up with the other team and you not only have to kill dinosaurs, but you have to kill the other players on the other team to help kind of push your objective forward on the escort and kind of stop theirs. Also too, you can spawn in as a dinosaur and disrupt the other team. Kind of similar, like this is where the Gambit comparison comes from, is like you go to the other team's side as that dinosaur and try to knock them off, kill them, slow them down, do whatever you have to do to help your team advance and win. There also is a PvE mode where you just race the other team and basically you just try to be the fastest team to win. So it's a good way to give people who maybe don't want to deal with the competitive aspect of it and just want to deal with just killing dinosaurs and maybe just, racing against the clock against the other team. You have that option as well. Another pro is I feel like there's not bad characters in the game. I feel like you can pretty much do well with any of the characters. I will say there's some that are obviously not as good as others. Most of my gameplay, I used a guy who basically had a grenade launcher. I want to say his name was Barrage, something like that. And he was super strong, but I tried all the other characters. It's kind of split up into like assault, heavy, and health characters. And I found them all to be semi-useful. I don't feel like you necessarily need to have a health player on your team or you need to have a heavy player. I think having it separated does help, but I also don't think it's a necessary need. But if you can find a way to work together and have maybe 2 assault players, a tank, and a healing character, I think that might be the best strategy to go about that. I do love that there's constant action in this game. I feel like there's never a dull moment, and that's one thing I've noticed everybody say that has played this game, whether it be my friends, other YouTubers, reviewers, so on and so forth, is that the game's constant action. You'll never really get bored. It's constantly moving, you're constantly killing, you're constantly going and going and going. I also think the game modes are really interesting and it keeps you interactive with it. There's not really slow or dull moments. It's like you're trying to race the other team. You got to get to the end. You got to win. That's how you win, whether it's PvE or PvPvE. You have to move as fast as you can, kill as fast as you can, use your abilities, and try to continue to move forward. And it does require a little bit of teamwork, like I said. Not super team oriented heavy, but it does require a little bit of teamwork to work together, because if you have one player that's kind of off and running about, it can kind of slow you down. I do like how you're able to how they basically give you the same maps, but they have you go different routes, because the game is pretty linear. It's like you need to go this way and then this way and then this way, and kind of weave you in and out and through the maps. And it changes every time you load into the map. So you can play the same map but take 5 different routes, let's say. And also each objective or each stage that you're doing is going to be different. So you don't select the certain game mode you want to play, you select essentially the genre that you want to play. So if you want to play PvE, then it's only going to give you objectives and game modes and that are pretty much oriented towards PvE. And then if you're going to do PvPvE, then it's only going to give you the objectives that are geared towards that. But like I said, in the PvPvE, you only really go up against the other players right at the very end. So let's get into the cons of the game. And I think some of these cons can get fixed. It's just a matter of time to see if they actually do it. So one of the biggest ones that I've noticed, that from pretty much my first few hours of playing, and I've also heard other people say, is that the game can get pretty repetitive, especially in the beginning, because to unlock new maps and modes in the game, you have to progress through the story. And to progress through the story, like I said earlier, you have to play 5 games to get to the first cutscene to advance the story. So every 5 games, you get a new cutscene. As a result, you keep on playing the same couple of maps, pretty much the same mode, probably about 15 to 20 games in a row, something close to that. And as you get these cutscenes, you have to go to your analysis map section to then pretty much unlock read and go through all the intel. And then once you go through that, it'll tell you progression, the percentage that you are through your story, and then you're going to unlock more stuff. But once you get through the story and you get more maps and more modes, there is a decent amount of maps and objectives you can do and game modes you can do. And there's about 10 different modes, 7 different maps, if you include the 10-player version, which is only if you complete the entire game, which is right at the very end. So it's kind of a weird thing. If you can get through that beginning part of like kind of grinding and playing the same thing over and over again, as you get towards the end, you're going to have way more variety and way more things going on. So then once you beat it and say like you come back a month from now, you have all these different modes that you can play that you unlock. So it's just kind of getting through there. As for another con, there's not a whole lot of customizability with your character, at least as of right now. Things might change. They use a perk system, and as you level up your character, you unlock new perks that you can also upgrade. I do feel that I guess I don't really feel that the perks change too much of how your character plays. There's not a huge drastic upgrade that you get when you do certain things, in my opinion. I feel like for the most part, everything still kind of feels the same. Obviously, you're gonna get better, but I don't feel like it's something super drastic to where, for example, I can be a fully leveled up character, and then my friend who's probably playing for the first time can go in, and if he's really good, he could potentially get more kills and points than me. I don't necessarily think it's a huge need, so I would like to see them have maybe a little bit more in-depth perk system, an in-depth upgrading system. You can't really upgrade any weapons, you can't change any weapons. The only thing you can really change is the equipment that you hold. I would also like to see different difficulty levels. I feel that things can get pretty easy and a little mundane, especially as you rank up and you talk, like I was saying with the perks, and you have full teams that are fully stacked. It can get a little easy, and I know the whole point of it is kind of race through, not to kind of like struggle because you're kind of going against the other team. But I would like to see different difficulties. I think it can add a certain element to it that can make it really interesting, because I mean, I would say it's very impressive if they came up with like, I don't know, let's say an insane mode and you're able to beat the other team, and then it just kind of turns into like not only completing the objective, but can you be faster? Because it could take a longer time, and it could eventually be into longer games. And I think it'd be nice just to have that option. And also, lastly, let's talk about the story. If you care about storylines, this isn't the game for you. I mean, obviously, it's about a near future shooter with mech suits and dinosaurs. Don't expect anything insane and amazing. To be honest with you, I didn't really care about the story. I just kind of skipped through a lot of the cutscenes and a lot of the analysis maps and intel. You can listen to it. I don't think it's And from what I've heard from people who actually took the time to really listen to it and like kind of, because you kind of got to go out of your way to really want to follow the story. A lot of people say it's really lackluster, whatever. But to be honest, I'm not playing this game to do that. I'm playing this game to shoot dinosaurs. You know what I mean? So let's kind of end it off here. As for like kind of the future of the game. So about a couple weeks ago, they released a roadmap of the first 3 seasons, with season 1 pretty much out, which is out now, and added a bunch of new characters to the game. So from when I last played, they've pretty much doubled the amount of characters that in, and I'm going to have to go in there and check out the new characters and stuff. Season 2, which is going to come, I believe, next month, is going to bring a new map as well as some more characters, Street Fighter characters. And then Season 3 is going to bring in some Monster Hunter characters. So Capcom is really utilizing their other properties that they have to kind of help promote and sell this game. So I do feel like this game is in a little bit, I would rate this game pretty much a high quality early access game, because I think they could add more stuff. I think it kind of came out with a little bare bones. I think there's some things that they can tweak, especially when I was talking about the weapon character customizability, and obviously adding more content is always going to be a thing. But I would say the 10 different modes, 7 different maps, not too bad, but I would have liked to see more. And then obviously by the way that they're releasing these seasons, it gives me early access vibes when I see indie developers put out new games on Steam showcasing their roadmap. It kind of gives me that. So that's why I call it a high quality early access, because honestly, there was no bugs. I suffered no performance issues, no bugs, nothing. The game honestly ran completely smooth, which is nowadays, we all know, is kind of rare. So I think the game is a ton of fun and worth playing. I just expect expect a little bit of repetitiveness in the beginning, but once you unlock everything and get to the end of the campaign, it can be a really fun game. It is available on Game Pass, so if you have Game Pass, I highly recommend trying it out. If you don't, maybe give it a little bit, let it build some content, some more weapons, more characters. But if you do have Game Pass, I really recommend checking it out. But if you guys haven't done so already, please like and subscribe to the content. If you guys want to see more reviews like this, or gaming news, or just general gaming discussions that I like to talk about, like I said, feel free to like and subscribe. But anyways, I hope you guys have a good day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody.